Welcome back to another episode of the Prominent Project Podcast, the place to help you both mentally and physically become the best version of yourself. Today, this is my first Thursday Thunder, Thursday Thoughts. Not quite sure what I'm going to call it, but it's something I've wanted to do for a while, just like add a little bit more value to you guys. Obviously, when I'm talking to you guys on my own during the big full-length episodes on a Tuesday, it's me really trying to sort of deep dive and, again, share with you guys some information that I've learned that's really, really helped me so that then hopefully it can help impact you in your life in some way, shape or form. But I wanted this to be like a little bit of a shorter form version of that, where I think I've mentioned it before. I either go on Instagram and look at some stuff that's on there, sort of break it down, or some quotes that have resonated with me. And this is basically done on a Wednesday. So it's basically done the day before it goes live. So it's really relevant. So if there's some stuff going on in the world or some information I see, it's just basically what's on my mind right now. So as always, if you take any value from today's episode, don't forget to like and share it with a friend. It's also going to be on YouTube, as always. If you're listening on Spotify, what I'm actually going to be doing is, I didn't know this was a feature, but at the bottom of the episode, if you just sort of scroll down, there'll be a little caption where it basically says, did you take any value from today's episode? And just click yes if you did, and no if you didn't. Again, just give me some feedback to see what you guys think of these Thursday thoughts, because again, if it's something that you guys are really valuing, then I'll continue to do them. And I know that most of you guys do listen on Apple Podcast, but if you do have Spotify, if you could let me know, that would be absolutely awesome. So today's episode, I want to basically cover something I spoke about on my Instagram stories the other day, and it basically came off the back of two really powerful check-in messages from my clients, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it on my stories. So I'll read the initial photo that I put on there, which basically at the end of the check-ins, I basically say, is there any additional information that might be useful for me to help you with your journey? And this client here wrote, super grateful for you, your podcast and all the guidance you've given me over the last couple of years. I can actually feel my life changing now. Thank you. So that was the picture. And then a caption with that I wrote was, stop looking for quick fixes when it comes to fat loss and happiness, as it never lasts and you know that it doesn't. I then carried on from that saying, you deserve better, so don't let people convince you that happiness is something that you get from fat loss or from having that X or Y thing, that external thing. I said, happiness comes from you. The problem is you keep running away from yourself, so we never really find out who we really are. So that was the first part of it. The second part, another client then mentioned here, I watched your attitude workshop. So for those of you who don't know, every single Wednesday evening, I do a live workshop with my clients where I deep dive some of these topics that I talk about. And again, it's really helps sort of guide my clients and basically add that value a little bit more and give them an understanding so they can start to unpick some stuff themselves. So for me, the workshops really are workshops, whereas again, interactive, and I get them to try and deep dive some stuff and come up with their own answers. It's not about me telling them, I'm just the guide. So I loved your attitude workshop, loved it. They are infectious. I have to say, I'm finding that because of everything, it's clicking into place. I'm realizing how everything is all linked together. And then my final piece with this said is that mindset is the missing piece to your puzzle. Once you go down that rabbit hole, it all starts to click into place. So that's basically what I want to talk about here, is the fact of people want these quick fixes. And if you notice, when you're looking through your social media, on your feeds, all that sort of stuff, you'll notice that companies prey on that. They basically want to prey on the fact that you want these quick fixes. And it's understanding that there is no overnight quick fix to whatever's going on, whether it's with your mental health, whether it is with your attitude, or when it comes to fat loss. Like, it didn't get bad overnight. Like, your body just didn't change overnight to the point where you're unhappy. Again, when it comes to your attitude, when it comes to your mental health, your mindset, all of this stuff did not change overnight. So it's just aligning your expectations and understanding that if someone's promising you that they can fix this thing, quote unquote, fix this thing in such a short period of time, whether it be 4 weeks, 8 weeks, it's not realistic. That's not how it works. You have to understand that there is a process. And as that client mentioned there, like the things that over regards of the past couple of years, it's been a past couple of years when things have really started to change and start to notice the difference, because a lot of stuff has happened in that time. And this is what tends to happen. You start to get results in whatever capacity that is in your life, and then life will throw something at you, and it will then set you back, and then you have to build up again. But understanding when it sets you back, you're still going to be 5 steps ahead of where you originally started. And then you pick yourself up, and then you go again, and then life will knock you back again. But now you're still 10 steps ahead of where you actually were. And this is how it works. The problem is, what happens is when you get hit with adversity, when you get hit with a setback in life, you just stop. And that is why you never get that long-lasting change. It's not going to be fixed overnight. You're not always going to have the perfect days, the perfect weeks. It's not how life works. Always things are going to happen that are completely outside of your control. The difference is how do you actually respond to that, which is why I did the podcast on discipline being more important than motivation. Because when you start out, you're always going to be motivated. Again, your fat loss journey, you're going to be motivated. You want, this is amazing, and that's perfect. But then what happens when you have a bad week or things are starting to go wrong? you're not necessarily going to be motivated to do the thing. That's when discipline has to kick in. Again, same with your mindset, same with your mental health. All the things that get you in that good headspace, that when you wake up in the morning, it sets you up for the day. Again, the gratitude journaling, the reading, even just having a morning cup of coffee, but doing it with some intent and then starting to ask yourself the right questions to set you up for the day. We spoke about this before when it comes to habits and routines. The habits and routines are just about setting you up to actually go and smash the day out. It's not really about the thing that you're doing, but the more you can get yourself into that heightened state of gratitude and happiness, that is the state that then allows you to go on throughout the day and start to basically look at things completely differently. Because if you start the day off positively, the world's going to look like a completely different place for you. But then when a bad day happens, how do you respond to it? Did it take you 4, 5, 6 days to get back? Because again, that might be the case right now, and that's absolutely fine. But understand the goal should be to continually try to knock that down. So actually have one bad day and you're straight back to it again. And another point that's said on here is like when you're doing things that you know don't work, and you know that it doesn't last, like stop looking for these quick fixes because you know that it doesn't last, and you know that it doesn't last. And this is the problem. You know that what you're doing isn't going to work, but you do it anyway. Like when you say, why are you doing that? You say, I don't know. And it's understanding we've got these paradigms, we've got these things, these habits, these beliefs, all of these things that are deep rooted within you. We all have them. Now, they normally come from childhood, because again, as a child, if you've got a child in your life, you'll see that basically from a young age, they don't have a conscious ability to think. They just absorb information. They're like a sponge. They don't question anything. So again, from your early childhood, what stuff was planted in there? What was nurtured in there? Again, from school, what stuff was there planted, nurtured? Because you've got some beliefs and habits and routines and all of these things, these paradigms are called. And what it does is it acts like a filter for how you see the world. And if you're doing these things, knowing full well that it's not what you want to do, you have to ask yourself, well, why are you doing it? And then ask yourself this question, would you choose to do it? And if the answer is no, then ask yourself, well then, who or what is choosing? Like, is it your ex-boyfriend? Is it your teacher? Like, is it your parents? Are they the ones that are subconsciously talking to you through these paradigms? So when you're making decisions, you're actually making decisions based on what they've taught you and what they've made you think and made you believe, but it's not really what you think or want. Because that's the question. We all know that we want to do better, and we don't do better. We don't do better because of these things that are deep-rooted in us that we don't actually take the time to stop and look at. You deserve better, and you know you do. And if you don't know that you do, then that tells you even more that you've got some deep-rooted stuff in there that you need to be working on. And you'll see this on social media all the time. People talk about doing the deep work. This is the deep work. But actually, you turn inwards, and you stop pointing the finger externally to other people and things, and you turn it inwards and start asking yourself the question, like, why don't I like myself? Why don't I think that I deserve better? And it may be that you've done some really messed up stuff in your past, and you need to forgive yourself for that and move on. Maybe you've hurt some people, you need to apologize. Maybe you've let yourself down and you need to rebuild that relationship with yourself. As I mentioned before, you're not broken, you don't need fixing. You need to find yourself, forgive yourself, and love yourself. But you can't love yourself until you actually forgive yourself. Because if you've got that resentment, that hatred towards yourself, again, maybe you have gained 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds, and you absolutely hate yourself for it. You have to forgive yourself for doing that before you can then actually go through the process of losing it again. And again, when it comes to mental health mindset stuff, maybe you've done some stuff that's got you in that bad mental headspace. Maybe you keep going back to that relationship that you know is not good for you. Again, forgive yourself for it. That's what you've got to do. Because you can't keep beating yourself up. And if you're going for the emotionally unavailable people, understand you're going for the emotionally unavailable people because you yourself are emotionally unavailable. You have to do the work on yourself first. Once you start to do that work on yourself first, everything else becomes easier and you start to see that things become effortless. Happiness comes from you. And so understand that happiness comes from you. Stop running away from yourself. Stop running away from yourself. Stop using alcohol. Stop using drugs, whatever that looks like for you. Stop using distractions like social media, TikTok, whatever it is. Like whatever it is that's your distraction that stops you from actually being with yourself. Even if it's the excuse of being busy. Oh, I can't turn inwards because I've got to look after the kids, because I've got this, because I've got that. That tells me that you need to turn inwards even more. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. When you go on airplanes, what do they say first? Put your gas mask on first, and then the others around you. So if your excuse for not turning inwards is you've got to look after all these people, that's even more reason why you've got to look after yourself first. Because you can't pour from an empty cup, and you've got to be that example. You've got to set that standard for yourself, and then especially if you've got kids, you set that example for yourself, it will then filter down to your kids. That's how it works. Kids don't pick up on what you say, they pick up on what you do, and they see what you're doing. So hold yourself to that higher standard. But understand that happiness comes from you. And if you're struggling with anything in your life, understand that mindset is the key. Mindset is the missing piece to the puzzle that you've not actually realized, you've not delved into. This is why I've completely shifted my business model to really focus on the mindset stuff now, because yes, people come to me for fat loss and basically want to change their lives, but it's the mindset that actually unpicks that all for them. That is the missing piece. And now I'm taking it, going into schools, going to organizations where I'm talking about the mindset, the mental health, all that stuff, because no matter what the organization wants out of their employees, the mindset is the key. When I'm talking in schools want their kids to be successful and have good careers. That's all well and good, but if they're anxious wrecks or depressed or can't hold conversations, got no self-esteem or self-confidence, it doesn't matter how good their resume is, it doesn't matter how good their exam results are, they're not going to be able to get the results they want in their life. Mindset is the key that you have been missing. You have to turn inwards. It's not easy. I know it's not, but I promise you it will change your life forever. And that's what, again, this podcast is all about. This is what my Instagram page is all about. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's Daniel_James_coaching. It's all there for you. Like, I give this information away for free. All the stuff I'm learning, I'm trying to help you. And if you need any specific guidance, reach out to me for coaching. We can have a free conversation. I'll basically show you how it works, see where you're at, and see if I can help unstick what you're going through. I never pitch my coaching on here, but right now it seems really, really relevant. I know a lot of people are struggling, and I know that I can help. You've got enough podcast resources here to go back and really ask yourself, what area do I need to work on? So yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be Thursday Thoughts or Thursday Thunder. I'm not quite sure. I felt like today was a bit more of a mellow one, but again, you've seen me before and again, it's one of passion rants. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, it's just short 10, 15 minute forms of content that you can just listen to quickly while you're commuting on your way to work or out for a walk. I hope this finds you well, and I will see you on Tuesday.